mindset in life, some terrible things happen. People even commit suicide. Why? Because they don't have the right mindset. A lot of people think that having a lot of money, riches, is going to give them peace of mind, but it doesn't work that way. And that is said by the actions of all of those persons who win lotto, millions of dollars. 90% of people that win lotto, they lose all of that money, $300 million, and within 2 3 years it was all gone. And their two children commit suicide, drug overdose, and what have you. The wife left him, and it was just chaotic. So the mindset is most important. And so this today, giving us the mindset, it will be a wonderful international transformational speaker, life coach, uh, empowerment trainer, TV talk show host, a publisher of already 4 books, and the discovering editor in chief of Discovering You magazine. And there is a free subscription. If you look at the flyer, there is a free subscription to that um, Discovering You magazine. And we hope that every person that is on this webinar, if you are not subscribed to that free, yes, I did say free Discovering You magazine, please subscribe. It's free. There's no cost. Free. Okay, I hope you get it. Free. All right. And the YouTube channel, the link is there on the YouTube channel also. So please click, it's in the description. So please click on that free. Did I say free? Yes, I said free. It is free, but it's a wealth of information that is in that magazine. So today, it is none other than our queen, Dr. Tunishai A. Ford, that will grace us with the wonderful mindset how to be proactive instead of reactive when difficult situations arise, displaying these 8 strengths. I now turn it over to Queen Dr. Tunishai A. Ford.
Wow. Let me give you a hand clap. Production. There's my twin. I have a twin sister. I don't know if you all can see her, but I can see her. Anyway, I really do appreciate the introduction. I appreciate you all being here and supporting me on this webinar. And this message is very, very important to me. In fact, I've had this message on my mind for several weeks, and I thought this would be a great time to speak on it because of everything that is going on in the world, so many horrific things going on. And I just said to myself, we need to have a mindset topic that's going to really help us persevere and be strong and learn how to effectively come through our trials and tribulations. It doesn't matter how old you are or how seasoned you may think you are, mature you are. We all have times when we feel like we can just lose it. We all have times we want to just throw up our hands and say, enough is enough. And for me, most of you already know that I am a cancer survivor, and I would like to really incorporate my testimony, my ordeal with this message, if you will allow me. All of you know that being in the fourth and last stage of the cancer, I had a tumor in my chest, 9 centimeters large, but just the size of a large lemon. I had another tumor on my spine. I was in excruciating pain for a long time, very, very ill. Dr. T went through a horrendous time, ladies and gentlemen. It was a very horrendous time for me. And I had an opportunity where I could have just given up and I could have just thrown in the towel, and you all would not know me right now, okay? Because that opportunity came. I came very close to death a couple of times, but I did not give up. And I want to share with you some of the strengths or attributes that I learned that I would like to share with you and many others who have gone through situations that were difficult, how they persevered and came out. So right now, let me get started, and I want you all to just open up your hearts and to receive it. A lot of things I'm going to be sharing with you, you already know, but I want to just keep it in perspective. I want you to apply it and think about all the different things that you may have gone through that may have been the most difficult time in your life and how you made it through. And think about the qualities that you exhibited and ask yourself, did you exhibit any of these qualities? Probably so. That's why you're probably still here. But I just want to reiterate the importance of learning how to be proactive instead of reactive when difficult situations arise. So we're going to go over the 8 unique strengths that help people to come through difficult situations. As my father used to always say, smelling like a rose. So let's look at the first one. The first one is resilience over resentment. Resilience over resentment. Resilience, this allows you to bounce back from setbacks without wasting energy or resentment or self-pity. A lot of times when we're going through something difficult, we want to get into that area of self-pity and being resentful. Oh, why me? Woe is me. Why what did I do wrong? They ask the questions, why do bad things happen to good people? It's called life. It doesn't mean that you did anything wrong necessarily, but the word of God tells us that trials and tribulations will come. But he also lets us know that we're going to be delivered from all of them. But we have to exhibit qualities that will help us see the hand of God on our lives. So again, resilience and resentment, resilience over resentment. This is the first unique strength we often find in those who weather the storms, who actually come through. Because complaining won't change the situation. Complaining won't change the situation. Instead, focus on what you can control. That is so important. Focus on what you can control and take actions accordingly. When I went through the cancer ordeal, I could not control the fact that I had contracted cancer. That was a done deal. It was already happening. But what could I control? I could control my attitude. I could control the foods that I put in my mouth. I could control my prayer life. I could control how I treated my fellow man. That's what I control, and that's what I did. Those are some of the things that I did to help me get through it. So I practiced resilience over resentment. I stayed out of the area of resentment. I didn't blame anybody. I didn't blame God. I didn't blame anyone. I went through it with resilience. And that's one of the reasons why you see me here today, and I'm allowed to give you this dynamic topic. And I hope that you will find that it is dynamic because I'm going to be giving you principles, attributes that may help you overcome anything that you're going through. So, number one, resilience over resentment. The second strength, this is so important. The second strength or attribute is embracing change, not fearing it. Embracing the change. Don't fear change, embracing it. When life takes a sudden turn, it's natural to feel fearful or get anxious. But having a unique approach to begin to embrace change rather than fear it. View each unexpected change as a chance to grow and learn. How about that? View each unexpected change as a chance to grow and learn. When you go through different things, I always say it's either a lesson or a blessing. Okay, when you go through horrific situations, when you're in a situation that you cannot control, what are you learning from it? What qualities are you contributing to your life? What are you going to bring into your life that's going to make you a better person? It's going to build your character. So learn to embrace those change. Don't fear it. Understand that change is a part of life and that resisting it only brings in us unnecessary stress. Save this confirmation. I want you to save this affirmation. Okay? We may be uncomfortable, but you might have to become uncomfortable to become comfortable. Remember that. You may have to become uncomfortable to become comfortable. So embrace the change and stop fearing it. Don't fear change. The third strength, the third attribute, the power of positive outlook. The power of positive outlook. Being that the cancer ordeal was probably the most horrific thing I went through, I could have easily just given up. And this is a time when a lot of people give up, especially when there are a lot of pain, a lot of medications, chemotherapy, radiation. I believe that the symptoms were worse than the disease. The symptoms were worse than the disease. If I sat here and told you everything that I went through, you would say, Dr. T, and it was so horrific. But yet, I still had a positive outlook. Every single day I woke up, I looked forward to the day when the doctor would say, you are cancer free. That's why I hung on in there. I began to think and see myself being well. I began to do things to make myself feel good. Not only did I pray, but I tried to get out the house. I spent time with positive thinking people, and this is what I did. Studies have indicated that optimism is good with stress coping abilities, is healthier immune system, and allows risk of cardiovascular diseases. So when you are optimistic, when you hold on to a positive outlook, you understand that your perception can greatly influence your reality. So when you are optimistic, understand that your perception of the situation can greatly influence your reality. In other words, if you see a glass that's halfway full or half at the halfway mark, do you see the glass as being half empty or do you see the glass being half full? Again, what is your perception? What is your outlook on your situation? That's why it's so important to incorporate the strength or the attribute, the power of positive outlook. Another area, and this is so important, another area, gratitude over grievance. Attitude, your gratitude over grievance. Instead of dwelling on the problems, focus on the blessings you still have. This might be a loving family, having a roof over your head, or simply just having the gift of life. When going through the cancer ordeal, just waking up every morning was a blessing for me. Being able to have a good day after the chemo and radiation treatments was a blessing for me. Having people around me that cared about me, that came into my life and did for me. I had people to come to my home and help me clean my home because I couldn't do it. I had people to bring me meals. Even when I got to a point where my financial situation became bleak, I had people to take up contributions and bring me money because I couldn't make money anymore. I went through, and I'm being transparent. I don't mind sharing this with you because it was a long, long time ago. I went from bringing home my net pay well over $3,000 a month to having $300 a month to live on. I'm going to say that again. Well over $3,000 net pay to living on $300 a month. How did I survive? The only thing that saved me was the people that cared. So therefore, I was always grateful when I saw them coming. And even right now in my life, I've always shared this with you. When I wake up in the morning, I'm always grateful and I'm always telling God how much I appreciate Him, how much He has done for me. I look around the room and I thank God for the little things. I thank God for the air conditioner being on. Because there are people who live in three digits that it's so hot where they are right now. The air conditioner breaks down, whatever it may be, they're suffering. We're not suffering. If you're right here in this webinar, you're probably not suffering. You're not going through that. I have a roof over my head. I have a wonderful life with my friends and my family. Okay, I have finances. No, I'm not a wealthy person like Mr. Donald Trump. but I can meet all of my bills. These are things that I'm grateful for. And I always tell myself it could be worse. It could be worse for all of us. So when you wake up in the morning, when you can put your foot on the ground and you can take a deep breath, that's something to be grateful for. Like DrBenny always says, somebody is buying air today. The hook machine is breathing for them. Some people are not going to go to bed in their own bed tonight. They're going to be in the morgue. Some people will not wake up in the morning. So these are things we're talking about. So if we're here, that means that God graced us with the ability to be alive. And that alone, if you have nothing else going for you, that alone is something to be grateful for. You've heard the expression that, you looked at the man that had no shoes, and he was feeling like, wow, I don't have any shoes, until he found somebody that had no feet. And then he realized that he had a lot to be grateful for. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you really want to be proactive instead of reactive, adopt the attitude of gratitude over grievance. Attitude over grievance. The next strength I want to share with you is having inner strength and self belief. Having inner strength and self belief. It's during the darkest times that the true strength of a person shines through. You can find out what you're made of when you're going through something. What are you made of? This is a time where a lot of people may commit suicide, or they'll hurt someone else, or you see them going to a deep depression. They just want to give up on life. They want to stay in seclusion. They don't want to be around anybody because they don't rely on the inner strength. They don't have self belief. This is not the time to give up. This is the time to rely on your inner strength. Know that you're valuable and trust yourself to get through whatever you are going through. Self belief is an anchor during stormy times. It empowers you to face your trials head on, knowing that you have the strength to overcome. Say this affirmation every day. This is a part of the inner strength and self belief. Say this affirmation: I am more than a conqueror. And you are. You are more than a conqueror. And one of the things I always say at the end of the day, all is well. All is well. I don't care what it looks like. Anybody that spends time with me will know I always say that. All is well. Even when it's not well. Even when things look like it's not going to work out. All is well. Because what you're doing, you're drawing good things to you. You are pronouncing the outcome. And what's the outcome? All is well. And that comes from having that inner strength. That comes from believing in yourself, knowing that you are teamed up with God and that you have the best teammate because he's going to see you through. But he needs for you to do your part. And what's that? To believe. Have that inner strength. Don't get into self-pity, but get into self-belief. So number 5, if you want to be proactive and not reactive when bad situations come arise, have inner strength and self-belief. Number 6, this is so important. This is very, very important. The ability to seek help. Digest that for a moment. Digest that for a moment. Being proactive instead of reactive. You want to acquire the ability to seek help. There's a common misconception that seeking help is a sign of weakness. But in reality, it takes a lot of courage and strength to admit that you need help and to ask for it. Know that know when to ask for help and don't be afraid to do it. Understand that we all need a support system and that seeking help is not a sign of weakness, but a testament to your strength. I've always said to people, and Tony would tell you this, I always would say, don't wait until you're drowning. Don't wait until you're underneath the water drowning to ask for help. Wait, while you're still afloat. While you're still afloat and when there's still hope for you, ask for help. You'll be surprised how many people will be more than happy to step up to the plate and help you. When I was going through the cancer ordeal, there was, like I said, I only brought home so much money while I was getting so much money from the state. And I went to my coworkers. This is a true story. I went to my coworkers because they would call me to see how I'm doing, and I just let them know, hey, look, I don't have the money. They all knew that. I went through my savings account. All of the benefits that I had were used up because I was sick for a while. So all of my benefits that I had were used up. So I reached out and said, please, I have bills to pay. My mother is here from Florida taking care of me. I need help with my finances. And several times, not one time, but several times, some of my coworkers took up offerings or collections for me and they brought it to my home to help me stay afloat. And you may say, well, golly, that takes a lot. That takes a lot of courage. It did. It did. And for a moment there, I felt real bad that I had to ask, but I realized that either I was going to either do that or I was going to sink. And because those people helped me in that time of need, it got me through my plight. Some of you may not need a financial blessing, but you might need help in other areas. Maybe you might need to talk to someone about a relationship. Maybe you're dealing with anxiety. It takes a lot of courage to say, hey, I need help. Remember, we're trying to be proactive because if you don't seek help during a time of need, you're going to find yourself sinking. You're going to be that person who's drowning underneath the water, and it'll be too late to help you. Why? Because you're going to drown. And that's what a lot of people do because they have so much pride and they're so afraid that if they tell their business, that people are going to make fun of them and think very little of them. But you'll be surprised how many people are very empathetic to what you might be going through. So if you want to be proactive and not reactive, when difficult times arise, get to the place that you have the ability to seek help. The seventh one, flexibility in the face of adversity. Flexibility in the face of adversity. When life doesn't always go as you plan. You know how we plan things? We're on this road and we plan it. The word of God tells us that many are the plans in the mind of a man, but only the purpose of the Lord will be fulfilled. And sometimes God has put a wrench right in your plan. And that might mean that you may have to take on something that you're not going to be very comfortable with. But that's okay. You'll get through it. It's easy to become rigid and resistant, but display flexibility. Understand that life is unpredictable, that sometimes plans need to change. I'm going to say that again. Life is unpredictable, and sometimes your plans need to change. Adapt to new circumstances instead of resisting them. And see detours as potential new paths rather than obstacles. Have you ever, I know we all have experienced this, when you're on the road, there might be construction going on, and they have the detour signs, right? So you're following the detour to get to back to the place where you want to go. Have you ever noticed sometimes that the detour may have been a better plan in the first place because you're so used to going one way, but the detour shows you another way to get to where you're going. It might be a scenic route. It might be even shorter. It might be even more pleasant. Whatever it may be, but you say, wow, I should have been going this way all the time. And that's what a detour may do. So be flexible. When things arise that is not pleasant to you, or you feel uncomfortable with the change, embrace it again and understand about being flexible. So if you want to be proactive, learn to be flexible in the face of adversity. And last but not least, compassion for others. This might sound a little strange. How can compassion be proactive and not reactive? I'll show you why. I'll tell you why. Perhaps the most remarkable strength of those who face hardship gracefully is their deep sense of compassion for others. Despite your struggle, never lose your ability to empathize and show kindness. When I was going through the cancer ordeal, people would call me to see how I was doing. They would call me to pray or just call me to encourage me. And somehow I would muster enough strength to sit up and I would find myself encouraging them. They would share with me what they're going through, not purposely, but just in talking, conversing. And they would end up telling me, Tunishai, I called to encourage you, and you encouraged me. I feel so much better. In other words, I left my woes. I came out of myself and wanted to give to someone else. I wanted to make somebody else happy. I wanted to let somebody else know that I empathize with what you're going through. And for that moment, I forgot about what I was going through. When you're compassionate for others, when you show compassion, you take your eyes off of your problems. And if you ever notice, when you find yourself being compassionate and taking your eyes off of your issue, your problem doesn't seem to be as long or difficult. Somehow you seem to breeze right through it because the time goes by. Why? Because you're focusing on someone else. You're not focusing on you. When you focus on you, it's like the time just drags. Think about that. The time drags, it goes slow. But when you're focusing on somebody else, making somebody else happy, being enjoying somebody else's life, what happens? The time goes by. I was only ill for 9 months. I had Hodgkin's lymphoma. I was in the fourth and last stage of the illness. I was diagnosed on January 28th, and I was cancer free the last month of September. Last September, I was cancer free because I did these three things or these 8 things that I'm sharing with you right now. I applied these principles. I applied these strengths to my life, and I believe that if you apply these particular strengths or attributes to your life, when you're going through a difficult time, learn how to be proactive instead of reactive. Learn that when you apply these strengths, you are going to come out, as my father will always say, smelling like a rose. So let's go over these 8 strengths again, if you're taking notes. Resilience over resistance, that's the first one. Number 2, embracing change and not fearing it. Number 3, the power of positive outlook. Number 4, having gratitude over grievance. Number 5, inner strength and self belief. Number 6, the ability to ask for help. Number 7, flexibility in the face of adversity. And last but not least, having compassion for others. When you operate in these strengths, when you begin to adapt and adopt these strengths that I'm sharing with you right now, you will learn to be proactive and not reactive when difficult situations arise. And you'll be a better person for it. You'll come through it, you'll have the tenacity, and you'll be on that path to becoming the person that you've always dreamt of being when you overcome the obstacles that may be in your path. My name is Dr. T, and thank you so much for allowing me to share. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Oh, mercy, mercy, mercy. We don't have resound, unfortunately. There's no resound, so we can't do the clapping properly. But wonderful. Queen Dr. T. That was awesome, awesome, awesome. Um, and you have I think you said you have a book on that cancer-free
Yes,
journey.
yes,
Wonderful,
sir.
wonderful, wonderful, nice, nice. So please reach out to Queen Dr. T for that book. And I think those 8 principles should be in there also, right?
Some of them,
Some of them,
yes,
some of them. All right,
yes,
wonderful.
yes.
All right. So please reach out to Queen Dr. T for that cancer-free journey. And some of those principles are listed in there. And use them. You listen, this is how you grow your mindset, right? You don't try to invent the whole wheel because there are persons with experience. And my great grandmother Dingy would say, experience teaches wisdom, right? And so therefore, if I am going to cross a minefield, um, would I speak to a plumber, or would I, or, or
Let me,
would I speak with a plumber, or would I speak with a vet that has crossed that minefield already? I think I will go with the vet, Vietnamese vet that already crossed that minefield. So his experience crossing that minefield will benefit me in doing the same. So please reach out to Queen Dr. T, and she has a wealth of information. She has books on it, so she's not just talking for talk's sake. This is what she does. All right, so please reach out to her, and as I said, subscribe to the um, Discovering You magazine. It has a wealth of information in it. And did I say it is free? Yes, it is free. Please, it's on the flyer, it's on the YouTube, on the description. And so please reach out and read and subscribe. Thank you very much. Go ahead, Queen Antoinette.
Um, Good evening, brand ambassadors. Just wanted to say, great presentation, Dr. T. As always, I enjoy your presentations. I reflect. It hits a lot of areas. I want to say that this book years ago, and at the time that we worked together on her book, and at the time I was homeless and frustrated because I had this idea that uh, I was only going to be homeless for a couple months. And so I was expecting that. And 2 years later, I was a little depressed and all that. And so I got a chance to read Dr. T's book, and it was so encouraging. And you go through the journey, and it ends up drawing you out. And a lot of Dr. T's books will draw you out, will focus on areas that you realize you need to work on, focusing on hurts that you need to let go of and people you need to forgive. And so I thank God for her. I thank God for the information that she's putting out there. And in the magazine, she does have 3 articles. So you get more of the plethora that God gives her. So I thank God for you, Dr. T.
Thank you. Thank you, Antoinette.
All right, all right, wonderful. Thank you very much, Queen Tony. Really appreciate, really appreciate. All right, I am not seeing any more hands, and so therefore, I know that Queen Dr. First Lady Benny um, wants to say something on your topic. Go ahead, First Lady.
Thank you. I believe you know that I have to say something. I appreciate you. Thank you so much, King Dr. Derek, for giving me this opportunity. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to all my brothers and sisters, my queens and kings around the globe. I want to thank you guys for coming because today this topic is very important, and the topic that I'm going to present today is going to be different and important as well. So those who have not come will lose. Anyway, thank you. I want to take this moment to thank our Heavenly Father for bringing each and everyone this evening, morning, afternoon. It all depends upon your location. I also want to thank him for sending our visionary to you and I, because if it wasn't for this particular individual, you and I will not be here today, this evening. And his name is Mr. Ashton Ferrer. As you guys can see, look at his picture there. You know who he is. He is someone who is very important to me. I don't know if he's important to you guys, but Brother Carlton, he is very important because of the love that he has for you and I, and his determination that he will do what it takes to help you and I to succeed, no matter all the tribulation. He will do it. And that is why Dr. T is here. for you and I. The love that Dr. T has for all of us as well. Teaching us this mindset is very important. Like I said, now you guys feel it, huh? I'm breathing. And you are breathing too. The reason why you are breathing is because God wants you to be here. God woke you up this morning. So whenever I leave the house, I say, hey, Papa, Papa God, come with me. That's what I say. He walks with me wherever I go. And he does that to you guys. Thank you, Dr. T. I appreciate you. I would say astonishing mindset. This is very important to all of us. Now, something that I like, although I believe I love everything that you've said, this thing that you said we should embrace change, right? Changes occur every day. And there is nothing that you and I can do. We just have to learn to adapt. Now, as you all know, that something is happening within our system right now that they are doing what? Performing data migration, right? You guys don't know the steps that is taking to perform this migration. It takes time. And if you want to know more, just go to Google and Google it, right? And today, I'm going to teach you guys something just small too. There are some like 8 steps when it comes to the data migration. Anyway, we have to learn to embrace changes. And this thing about ability to seek help, it is very important because although sometimes I don't want to, because when you ask for help in my community, Dr. T, despite the fact that they will help, but they go around laughing. That's why you notice that some people don't really want to go and seek for help. They'll be laughing at you that, oh, you call yourself a doctor. So how come you cannot do this? You can't do that. And sometimes if I really need help, Dr. T, I got you. I got you. In my community, I will not. They like to laugh at you and they'll make you like not to even want to be closer to them. I am serious. Maybe it's good for others, but when it comes to Benny, I will not go out and seek for help because they will laugh at me. But you know, sometimes when something happens to you, you don't know what God has for you. You know, in the long run, you will achieve more than what has occurred. So, yes, I will. Maybe if I need help, I'll come to you, but not in my community. There you go. I'm serious. But to tell the truth, I really thank you, and I believe that
Dr. Benny, yeah, go ahead. I want to make a statement after you finish speaking. I want to make a statement to that. Go ahead, finish, please. I'm sorry.
You know, it's okay. I am saying that I really appreciate this, and I think that you should come more and more to teach us. I just feel sorry for people who are not coming, who are not attending this webinar or webinars in general, because when you attend webinars, you learn. When it comes to this mindset, our CEO always talk about mindset, and I noticed that deep dive, dream team, they talk about mindset all the time. And I'm learning all the time. Thank you all. I appreciate you, Dr. T. Proceed.
Let me say this, please, okay? Because I want to add this to you, and I understand exactly what you're coming from. Let me complete the story. Although many helped, there are people that you described that were in my life too. They wanted to see how I was going to go through it. They're malicious. Okay? But see, when you pray and when you're in good standing with God, as you are, Dr. Benny, God is going to, the community that you talked about. Right now, you with deep dive. You with old passion. You with the dream team. You have met already. You got a brand new family, and I'm pretty sure, seriously, if you needed help, you could probably reach out to any of us, including Dr. T. Yes, including Dr. T. Because now we're building another network. You're around people of like mind. You're around people who have learned the same principles. Does that make sense? But when I was going through my ordeal, there were people who sat back and to watch how I was going to come through it. They even went as far as going to my pastor and saying, "Don't help her." Because they wanted to see how much faith I had. They want me to operate in this faith. I'm just being honest. That's why you need to get my book. Read the book and go through the ordeal with me. Because there was a lot of time with a lot of tears that was shed. You know what I'm saying? I had to get that strength. But there were so many more people that came and helped. And I remember there was a young man that was in my life at the time. He said a very profound thing. And I want you to remember this. He said, "Don't worry about the people who didn't do. Be thankful for the ones who did." You see what I'm saying? That's what I talk about the negative. Don't look at the people who don't do, because God will send those who will do. You're going to always have somebody to say, "No, I don't want to help you." But look at that. The table's going to turn one day, and they're going to need help too. And someone's going to tell them no too when they really need it. So don't worry about them. You keep moving, because God will send help when it's time for Him to send help. That's why I'm here today. That's why I didn't lose my home. I didn't lose anything. In fact, when I went back to work, Dr. Benny, I had more money in my bank account than all the time that I worked. And that's a true story. Because people came and they helped. But there were others who didn't do anything. And there were the people that I expected to help me didn't do. And the ones that I least expected to help me, they did. Okay, so be encouraged on that. But you still practice that. Don't be afraid to reach out, because you don't know who God is going to use. That's for all of us. We don't know who God is going to use to help us. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Dr. T, you are 100% correct. You said you don't know who God is going to use to help. It happens to me.
Yes.
God uses one of my professors to help me with something. Let me just say with clearance, okay? And something that I never had, the type of clearance I have when it comes to security.
Mhm.
God uses somebody.
Yes.
I appreciate you, and I really want to thank our Heavenly Father.
Yes.
And I know that it's going to be on YouTube for God to know that I appreciate what He has done for me. I appreciate it. Today, you don't want to know, but I just want to thank God for something that I never had. I have it today, and I thank my Heavenly Father. I don't know the God that I serve. I don't know. Some people don't serve the God that I serve. And I want to appreciate Him, what He has done, and what He has given to me, and what He will continue to give to me. In the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Please God. Thank you, Dr. Derek. Sorry.
All right, wonderful. Thank you very much, First Lady Queen Dr. Benny, and of course, thank you very much, Dr. Tunishai Ford. Really appreciate it. And there's a whole lot of comments on the YouTube channel, because roughly over 100 people is on the YouTube channels. So don't worry, people just don't like Zoom or finding it difficult to connect to Zoom. So don't worry, people are listening and people are watching this broadcast. Someone even from, I guess it's India, because they say namaste um, to Dr. Benny, and I love you, Dr. Benny, and all of those things. And a lot of comments is on the varied YouTube platform, right? And 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 yes, it's sacred. Yes, it's scared to ask for help. sometimes. All right. Love Dr. Benny. Hello, I love Dr. Benny. Namaste. Um, so a lot of comments are there in the YouTube channels. So just kind of reading a few of them, right? Good morning, all ONPASSIVE family, and thank you, Queen Dr. T, and all of those things. So thank you very much, Queen Dr. T, and thank you very much, First Lady Queen Dr. Benny. Really, really appreciate. And so, moving right along, and we have another wonderful presentation, awesome presentation coming on. And I just want to thank uh, Queen Dr. T once again, because that was really an awesome mindset. But coming now is our another presentation, which has to do, of course, with cybersecurity. And from once you are alive and breathing, quite possible you are going to be on the World Wide Web, whether you are 9 or 90, and you are going to be on the World Wide Web, which means cybercrime affects everyone that is on the World Wide Web. It doesn't just affect unpassivians, and it doesn't just affect persons who are coming into ONPASSIVE. No, whether you are in ONPASSIVE, yes or no, it is going to affect you if you are on the internet using Wi-Fi or whichever Ethernet connection straight, which is the Ethernet cable, whichever way you are connected, whether it's on your phone, your iPad, your iPhone, Android, whatever you're on, if you are connected through your radio, because a lot of car radios now is come with internet connection. So however you are connected, cybercrime affects you. And so therefore at this time, we are definitely blessed with a wonderful doctor, not a medical doctor, but a cybersecurity doctor that is going to write a prescription for you and for me for cybersecurity. So at this time, our First Lady, Queen Dr. Bernadette in Tinglet, is going to write that prescription for us for cybersecurity as we stay protected in 2024. Over to you, First Lady Queen Dr. Benny.
Thank you. Thank you so much, King Dr. Derek, for giving me this opportunity. Dr. T, despite the fact that today I know I'm supposed to talk about the cybersecurity, I have been talking about it for the longest time. But today it's going to be different. I'm going to talk about data migration. Just the steps. That's it. But it's something long, but I'll just give a short. A lot of our brand ambassadors, by the way, I will say good evening to my queens and kings. The reason why I call you queens and kings is because I love you. Everybody will call you King Carlton. Your wife will not. Well, maybe she does, but if she is, that is good. And Queen Dr. T, I believe if you have a husband, she calls you my queen, then count your blessing. Because it's not easy for a man to say, my queen. I'm telling you, it's a sign of respect. please. If you don't like it, it's okay. But it is me. Look at these fingers. They're not the same, right? So you're different and I'm different. All right. So when it comes to this data migration, I know a lot of people are thinking, why is it taking time? Most of the time I'll say, hey, first of all, before joining ONPASSIVE, you had a job. And there are a lot of online businesses out there. I believe some of them are protected, some of them are not. Some of them are good and some of them are not. And some of them are fast. ONPASSIVE is not that fast, but it's real. Now, when it comes to data migration, every company migrates their data from one system to another. We do. It is a process. I notice everyone is talking about the data migration. I believe it's just to let each and everyone knows the importance so that you should not be angry that why is it that we are not doing things fast. Most of the time I'll say, check yourself and put yourself into the shoe of our CEO. If you do that, just the 100, let me just say we spend 250 for the one account. Right? I'm just giving you an example. 250 cannot even pay your rent, right? It cannot. But some of us get angry. Why is it that things are not going the way it's supposed to be? Things happen. And sometimes I say, hey, when an assignment is being given to the students, sometimes you have to go to the library, right? That was a long time ago, although students still go to the library. But now we have Google that you go and do your research. There are a lot of search engines that you can go and do your research. Now, if you want to know more about data migration, you can go to Google and also get those steps so that when you understand the steps, then it will calm you down for you to know that it takes some time. It is not easy. Data migration is the process of transferring data from one system or storage to another. I am going to, if you don't mind, I'm going to share the screen so you guys can see. Sometimes people want to see it, visualization, not just running my mouth and you're not seeing. Migrating data means moving from one place to another. This implies that I change the system of data, the residence. I can move my data from here to your own residency. Based upon the, you guys know that we have 1.4 million plus accounts. So it's going to take some time. It says like today, the term also refers to the data from on-premise into cloud environment. And you guys know about AWS, right? Amazon Web Services. If the data, if they're removing the data from the AWS now to our own data center, it takes some time. So just give me a minute how I upload or share my PowerPoint presentation so you guys can see, please. It's just going to be some few steps. I mean, it's 8 steps. To me, maybe it's 8 plus. But when you, like I said, when you do your research, different people write different articles, and some of them may be 7 steps, some of them may be 6 steps, some of them may be 8 steps. It all depends. So it is good for all of us just to understand a little bit what it's all about. Thank you so much for listening. Just give me a minute so I can share. You can see right through the cartoon. You can see, okay. All right. So as I was saying, data. I'm going to give this an overview. So as many companies like our company or any other company like ONPASSIVE increasingly rely on the analytics now to make critical business decisions. So this decision that is being uh, this decision about data migration, uh, like the stakeholders, they sit and talk about it to discuss, right? They sit and discuss about how they are going to migrate. And it takes time. They will communicate with one another to see how long it's going to take. You have database administrators and the rest that they sit inside the room and they talk about it. So they make their decision. Data is gradually becoming one of the main assets of an organization like ONPASSIVE. In fact, its value translates into monetary equivalence. That is why data migration is so important. Probably it establishes data migration process, which can save the organization many hassles, including compromise of security and the expenses. Now, it is commonly performed when upgrading the system, combining data source, moving to a new platform, or merging the databases. Data migration is a critical aspect of IT, which is information technology operation that requires what careful planning, execution, which is like completing or completion, and validation, which is proof to ensure what the integrity, which is what honesty, right, and security of the data being transferred. Data migration, migrating the data means moving it like from one place to another, right? Like I stated before, this implies changing the system of data residence and often its format. Today, things happen, all right? Now, it refers to what? The data from on-premise, and I'm going to give you what on-premise is, into cloud environment. So on-premise refers to the IT infrastructure, the hardware, like your computer, right? Is a hardware. Software application as well that exists on site. On site where? I give an example like ONPASSIVE office here in the United States, ONPASSIVE office in Dubai, ONPASSIVE office in Cairo, right? Egypt, right? Within the physical confine of an enterprise. Now, when I talk about a cloud environment, it refers to a virtualized infrastructure that delivers computing resources such as the server, the storage, databases, networking, the software and analytics over the what? The internet. As Dr. Derek stated before, everything happens now. Everything is on the internet, right? So with us, knowing that ONPASSIVE is SaaS, software as a service, right? Which it means pay as you go basis. Data gathering and integration, the act of combining or adding parts to make a unified whole. It becomes essential, which is vital, which also means important for most businesses practice at one point or another. But that also means an attempt to move data to another location, whether it is cloud provider, which we all know that is AWS, Amazon Web Services, right? Our to our data center or data lake. What is data lake? It is a centralized repository that will ingest and store the large volume of data to its original form or data warehouse. What is it? It is also a centralized repository that store the structure of data, like database tables, Excels. I believe you guys know about the Excel spreadsheets, right? And what? The semi-structure of the data. We talk about XML, which is extendable markup language. Talk about the files. We talk about the web pages. Now, for the purposes of what? Reporting the analysis and the repository that needs to be completely all in one. Yes. So, what is the process? I believe this is what we want to know so that we can. I just want to calm down a lot of people, a lot of our brand ambassadors. It is a process to perform the data migration. Seriously, right? It is not a straightforward a process as you might think, but the need for data migration may come about due to any number of circumstances. Now, the company, our company or any other company, made an acquisition or was require itself the data from a newly acquired entity that has to be ordered and consolidated, like combined into an existing database. Database is where all our information is being inserted, the information that we have. And then, like when you go to the ecosystem, that it has all our products, right? Everything is being, backed up. Now, the company has chosen to upgrade or overhaul, like renovation, their digital infrastructure or move to a different provider. Now, in some cases, data must be what? Transformed or converted to achieve what the compatibility with a different or what newer application or the operating system, right? Now, sometimes company like ONPASSIVE or any other company may choose to establish a new warehouse due to the geographical location or market considerations to move what processing closer to the point at which the data was gathered, or because they want to comply or to avoid the data stewardship regulation like in Europe, General Data Protection Regulation in Europe. Now, companies may also want to choose to partition. When I talk about partition, it's like divide, okay? Their digital infrastructure. If the company, ONPASSIVE, or any other company is forming a separate divisions or otherwise altering its structure and separate the files part that are necessary for each division. So, based upon my own research, right, I found 8 steps when it comes to data migration. Like I said, there are a lot. So one is auditing. Audit, when you perform audit, you are trying to inspect, right? Inspect and data mapping. So before a data gets migrated into a new system, companies like ONPASSIVE or any other
Thank you. It was ready. Thank you, Dr. Derek.
Thank you. Thank you, Kate Lady. All right. I was talking about the 8 steps. My research, how to migrate successfully from one system to another. So one is auditing. Like I stated before, auditing is like you are trying to inspect. So before a data gets migrated into the new system, companies are advised to perform what? A complete data audit. You want to inspect to make sure that everything is perfect, right? Don't confuse with an optional steps. Now, it sets a foundation for everything that follows. A data audit or inspection will help shine a light on questions like this. Are there any potential data liability issues with the new system, location or services provider, including the holding of personally identifiable data on clients, partners, or customers? Is this data needed anymore during a data audit? You can consider the usefulness of all of your digital clutter and jettison anything that hasn't been useful in a while. Now, after the audit, like after the audit is being performed, right? Like I talk about audit is inspection. After it is being performed or it is complete, and your decision makers are now satisfied with the result. When they're satisfied now, they have to move to the next step, right? So the next step will be data cleanup. With the audit behind you, cleanup can begin. Now, in some cases, cleanup might mean asking for outside help with getting your data compliant with what? Existing, new, or what? Potential upcoming data protection regulation, like in Europe. Now, in other cases, cleanup can be taken a bit more factually. Now, according to one report, only around third or 3% of companies hold data that meets even the most basic standards for quality. Now, the scale of your cleanup job might require the aid of the third-party data preparation tools. Now, reconciling or merging, right? Older records. When you're migrating data, they have old data and then you have new ones, right? So when you merge them, the older records with the newer ones, such as making sure out of date, as you guys know, some of our phones are outdated, right? There are a lot of things that are outdated, but you have the manufacturer that will always try to send us updates. As I stated from the beginning, that when they send you an update, make sure you update your phone, you update your computer or your laptop, right? So up-to-date phones number and addresses are discarded. And then transposing the result into a new database, which is a task best left to the light touch of automation through what? The workflow receipt. So after the cleanup, what happened? Remember, the first was to audit, right? Second, data cleanup. The third is that you have to choose your timeline, the method, and the architecture. So there are two methods for embarking, like onboarding or boarding, on a data migration project. Now, this step of the process is also where your organization, like ONPASSIVE or any other company, should define the expected timeline. You don't know, like you and I, we don't know the timeline, but our our stakeholders, they know the timeline. Okay, when performing this data migration, I just wanted you all to know what is going on. The timeline for the project completion and map the architecture of the new system. Now, one thing you might overlook without a professional or professional level data migration tool on your side is the challenge that, I just believe that the challenge that people will be facing, right? Challenge of keeping your data protected while it is being migrated. Now, as you are laying out your timeline and the processes, it is important to keep data integrity, which is what honesty, right? A top of mind concern. Now, integrity here refers both to cybersecurity concern as well as making sure there are workflow and redundancy now in place to ensure the data is duplicated. Like sometimes we do have duplicate data and you don't want that. Duplicated safely and before it is being moved now, right? When you duplicate, you have to be careful and cautious before it is being moved to, when you duplicate data, the duplication, it should be deleted. So you cannot have two Bennies, right? You have to delete one of the Bennies. Now, for cybersecurity sake, only after receiving the confirmation of a successful transfer. So the next is transform. It is fairly likely your company, ONPASSIVE or any other company, runs on a data gather from what? A variety of sources, which include the e-commerce website, social media, campaign reports, direct mail, email outreach, customer relationship management, the dashboard, and enterprise planning software. Now that might mean your structure or unstructured data is a format that is not completely compatible. When I talk about it, it's like really, right? With the architecture of your new system. Now, a successful migration might require that your data undergoes formatting changes or other transformation before they can be used. Oh, yes. So remember the saying, measure twice and what? Cut once, right? Measure twice, cut once. During a data migration project, the maximum is test twice, migrate once. You do what? You test twice. Testing is very important everywhere you go. As you guys notice, again, that when developers, they write those codings, right? The quality assurance have to test it to make sure that it's perfect, right? If it is not perfect, by giving a thumbs up now, when something happens and it's not working again, you guys will be blaming, let me say, our CEO for no reason. And that is why testing has to take place anywhere you go in all companies, all the companies all over the globe. It has to be tested. So you test twice and you migrate once. So isn't it better for us to keep testing to make sure that everything is perfect before it is being migrated? Oh yes, if you want to know, you Google. So this is an important step in this project. Now it is your chance to make sure all of the required codes is doing the job it's supposed to be doing. Use a variety of data types as dummies to verify the completeness and fidelity of the data migration process, and look for French cases and the outliers that might cause a slowdown, right? Data corruption, or, as we all know, problems may occur before it goes live, right? Yes, we just have to relax. So if everything is perfect, what happens? You now migrate. So there are two schools of thoughts on the method of data migration. Each one has different implications for the business in a company. Like I said, it's not only ONPASSIVE that does data migration. You have all at once data migration and trickle data migration. All at once migration. This is where the entire data migration project is completed within a known and planned for interval. Now, any live system in use at the time will require temporary downtime as data is extracted, transformed, and loaded now from that old system to the new system. Okay? Now, the advantages of going this route is that if you have prepared well, remember from the beginning, I told you guys that when developers write those codings, someone has to test it, right? So if it is well tested, that is when you go for the migration. Prepare yourself. If you have prepared yourself very well, the entire project happens within a known time frame. Now, it is one time thing anyway, right? But that is also the primary downside. Now, the crunch for the parties involved can be tough, can be very tough to walk through, especially if the company also has to continue functioning in a reduced capacity. Critical data migration. In some cases, where companies like ONPASSIVE or any other company needs to avoid the downtime, right? A trickle approach can be better way to go. Now, this is where the old data system, right? The data system that we have, remember our ecosystem, right? Maybe it is old now, they're trying to migrate it somewhere else, despite the fact that it's still going to call the old ecosystem, right? So the old data system and the new one continue the operating in parallel. So your staff, like ONPASSIVE staff or any other staff attached to this project, can migrate your data piece by piece. What? What did I say? Piece by piece as it proceeds and without rendering any of your company's digital asset unusable or your services unsearchable. So this can be a more complex migration project, but in the right hands, they can actually reduce rather than compound and run of the mill risk that any data migration is susceptible to. So after that, after the migration now, you have to load the data. Now, if you have followed all the steps you were supposed to do, you are ready to flip the switch now to implement your data migration protocol, right? So we begin, the process ends. The data audit, as I told you from the beginning, that it has to be audited, right? Which means inspected. The data audit at the beginning of your migration project confirm that you did not bring any issues. That is why I said it's better for you to perform an audit. Since you did not bring any issues with you, from your previous data infrastructure, covering the experience with the second data audit confirms you did not create any new ones in the process, which means that everything was perfect, right? So data migration is a complex process that requires careful planning, execution, and validation to ensure a successful transition from one system to another. It is essential, vital, or important to involve what the stakeholders. One of the stakeholders, as you and I know, you have our CLO, right? He has to be involved. They need him. They need all those big, how do they say, the big guns. Let them know what is happening within our system. Okay? So they will now allocate the sufficient resources because if you want to perform any migration, there are certain steps that you have to take and there are certain resources that you need. So by you now communicating with the stakeholders, they will now allocate the resources for you and for us to follow the best practice to what? Minimize the disruptions and migrate the risk during migration process. Regular monitoring, because after the migration, we have to perform monitor. You have to continue to monitor the database for validation to make sure that everything is kosher, to maintain the data integrity. As I stated, the integrity means honesty and ensure seamless operation in a new environment. Right? You are ready for your own data migration.
Yes, we have.
Data is a present. It's present and the future of business. Unlike it or not. That means we will probably always have a need to migrate data between the storage or processing location. Now that you all know what to do, you are better. That means you have to better prepare yourself than ever for the next time you have to perform any migration yourself. Right? I want you guys to know this is where I got my information from about the data migration, all this from Azure, from Microsoft Azure, and the rest. Um, I have to do my research. I just want to thank you all for listening, knowing the importance of data migration, how long, I am not going to tell you how long it's going to take, but it is coming. Thank you all for listening. Before we proceed, I just want to thank our CEO for everything. You guys know that he is very knowledgeable of what is going on. He is the CEO. He stated that either I do or I die. You guys know that. He will do what it takes to help humanity. He is here to eradicate poverty and to uplift humanity. That is his main goal. Thank you so much, King Dr. Derek, for giving me this opportunity to say something about data migration. I appreciate you all for listening. Thank you.
Wonderful, 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 wonderful. Mercy, have mercy. Say it was just today. Just today, I thought about data migration and was putting together a PowerPoint actually uh, with with all of that information. Um, but oh my goodness, that was that. But my information was more on how long it takes for data migration, and as Queen Dr. Benny says that with ONPASSIVE, as we know, it's a kind of different beast. But when we look at, because we had to do data migrating when I was in the military, because when we set up the data center and we run it for maybe about 2 years, we had to upgrade the data center because more and more was coming on, and we were bringing on more and more different battalions and um, sections and so on in the military. And so we had to do a migration. And this was, yes, it was in 19, late part of 1980s and the early part of 1990s. And we're talking about um, roughly 500, 600, maybe 600, 700,000, 700,000 data. That is just straight information about people. We're not talking about connect and track, and we're just talking about just the information, address, name, um, that date of birth, basic information. And it took 7, 8 months, roughly 7, 8 months, or about 700,000. So 7, 8 months in ONPASSIVE, we're talking about roughly 2, 3 million, because you have to remember those that register just as not as founders. They are there to, it's not just the founder positions or the people who the 1.5 roughly um, that came in as founders. We also have approximately 2 million people that registered as a non-founder, right? So roughly 3 million, right? And all of that had information, you know, the different information that was gathered. All of that has to be moved, right? So remember, roughly 5 to 800,000 people, that is less than a million, and it took 7, 8 months. All right. So, so listen, don't worry. All right. Well, we are in the 21st century now. We are 2024, and we also have AI working with us, right? So it will be a little different and maybe less time. But listen, think at least think at least 4 months, 4 or 5 months, at least. If it drops short of that, thumbs up. If it drops short of that, thumbs up. If not, listen, let us just enjoy the ride. Because yes, um, as Queen Dr. Benny said, you have to test the back, because you have to back up everything. You can't just migrate. Because if you migrate and lose something, dog, eat your supper. So you backup has to be done first and foremost. You have to prepare to back up first, because you have to have somewhere to back it up before before you even migrate or think of migrating. You have to back it up, right? And first you have to do a test backup. In the first place, you have to first do a test backup before you back up, because you have to make sure that your test backup, everything is there, what is missing or so on, what have you, and blah blah blah. Then you, oh, all right, Oh, nice. And you make your adjustment, do another test backup, make it. So it's not straightforward as you and I, well, as you might think. It's not as straightforward. All right? It's really not as straightforward. And then you have to make a plan to do that migration. You don't just go migrate. It don't work that way. It's not that you're taking some things off your hard drive and put it on an external hard drive. So you know, boom, 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 bam, done. No, don't work that way. And then our authorities, as Queen Dr. Benny says, has to get involved because we're talking about personal information about people. So other institution has to get involved. And then you have to do a test phase for well, testing for each of the phase. Because as Dr. Benny bring out that is about 8 phases. So each phase has its own testing. So it's not just boom, 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 and you put it on a flash drive. It don't work that way. You're not putting it on a flash drive and you put it in your pocket and you go. No, praise the Lord. So listen, how long it takes? Think in the ballpark of about 4 months. It can take, right? Think in that perspective. Not that it's going to take that long. It can take longer. It can take shorter. Approximately look at that. All right? So let us just be patient. It is happening. It is happening. Right? So thank you very much. Really, really. And then you have to deal with security with all of that. You know, I was hoping that you touch on a little security also with that because you have to be secure at each phase of the migrating because if you are not if your security level is not up on that migrating is even more problem because if a virus get into the migrating you're just dead. All right, so security plays a very pivotal role in migrating data because we're talking about sensitive information that you are moving from one server to another server. And the server is what is where the things are stored. So it's a lot to deal with. It's not just one, two, three, as you think, like putting it on a flash drive. All right. So really appreciate that information, dear Queen Dr. Benny. That was so awesome. You getting into the intricacies of data migrating or migration. All right. Really appreciate it. Could have no resound, but you more than nail it. All right. Thank you very much. Really awesome. I could not have done better. Really appreciate it. Oh my goodness. You see, when you can step a little out of your field, because yes, you see, technology is so broad that when a person step from um, the comfort zone of their learned area and venture into another area of technology, that is even over awesome for me personally. So I thank you very much, First Lady Queen Dr. Benny. Really appreciate that synopsis that you give for the migrating process. And I thank you very, 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 very much for that lovely information there. And I hope that persons looking at it now, um, we have 162 viewing on one of the YouTube channel and 251 viewing on another YouTube channel. So we just please direct persons, especially persons who are on Passivians, direct persons to these two YouTube channel, which is of course Dr. P and myself. Direct people to these two YouTube channel to get this information of the migrating process. All right, because it is very important that persons understand is not taking out a flash drive out of your pocket and just moving the information over from your desktop. It's not that. All right, it's a major process for migrating. So again, thank you very, 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 very much, First Lady Queen Dr. Benny, for that wonderful presentation that I know is outside of your realm of technology. That was so awesome. Thank you very much. I do saw Magnifico. Yes. Oh, sorry. No, sorry. Yes, yes. Let me create a word. Magnifico on that presentation, First Lady Queen Dr. Benny. Thank you very much. I did say Queen Tony. I don't know if her hand was came down, but yes, go ahead.
Real
Mhm.
quick. Yes, chat presentation gave us, reassurance that everything's okay. It's just a process. I really appreciate you taking out the time to reassure us and give us the information and get us to understand the process. So I truly appreciate you, Queen Dr. Benny.
Mm, nice, wonderful. Go ahead, Queen Dr. T.
I just want to say this. Thank you, Dr. Benny, for your presentation. Very, very informative. But I want to say this that kind of goes back to my message. How about being proactive? I know that the 1.4 million on Pathfians, everybody's not active, and I get that. But there are a lot of the on Pathfians who are going through some difficult times. Whether it be financially, it might be dealing with sickness and disease, might be emotional, whatever it may be. And we're all in different places. And so the mere fact that we have this information, that's very, very helpful. But my advice, in addition to knowing this, Dr. Benny, is get busy. Get busy. Start take your mind off of on passive for a while. I mean, we can do this. Let's just get real with this and take your mind. Come to the webinars. Be informed, but don't allow yourself to become so engrossed with Mr. Aspenfara's doing, because that's his business. Like Dr. Derek always says, that's his business. You're not going to be able to add one iota to what he's doing. I don't care if you put your hand in it, whatever you're doing, you don't know what he knows. He knows the process. He understands why he's doing what he's doing. So let's just enjoy the ride. But in the meantime, start doing things that you are supposed to be doing. Start write down your mission, whatever God has called you to do with on passing or either with your own personal life. Write down your mission at this time. Begin to start with your business plan. Write out get ready for all bless. Whatever you need to do, but start working on you. This is why we have this platform. This platform is a preliminary for what we're going to go into when on passive really takes off. So right now, engross yourself in what we're doing on this platform. Deep dive, old passion, the other webinars. Engross yourself in that and begin to work on you. That's a 24/7 job right there. So, don't be worried about what he's doing, Mr. Ashford Farrar. Be concerned about yourself. That's what I'm doing. I'm taking my own advice. I don't focus on what Mr. Ashford Farrar is doing. I don't. I don't. I'm too busy doing me. That may sound selfish. I don't mean to, but I can't can't get engrossed in that because it'll be depressing. You'll be anxious. So don't go there. Get busy on working on the areas that have been entrusted to you. And when it's all over, it'll be over. You'll be walking in on passive. You'll be getting your money. You'll be doing the things you want to do with on passive. But right now, spend this time working on you. And that's my advice. You know, DrBenny gave an excellent presentation. Okay, we got the information, but it's still not gonna make it happen any faster. Not gonna make it happen any faster. So work on you. That's my advice. Start working on you. Write down your vision and run with that. And leave Mr. Ashford Farr's business alone. Let him take care of his business. You take care of your business. And that's my advice. That's my advice.
Thank you so much, Dr. T.
There you go.
No, I appreciate you. And that is why I said from the beginning that by you, before joining ONPASSIVE, what were you doing? You had a job before, right? And I stated again that there are a lot of online businesses out there that you could, ONPASSIVE is number one. Number two, you can go to another one. While waiting for ONPASSIVE. What is it? Say no more complaint. Okay. Thank you, Dr. T. Thank you, Pastor Tony, and thank you, Dr. Derek, for all your acknowledgement and support. I appreciate it.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much, Queen Dr. T. And of course, thank you, Queen Dr. Benny. Go ahead, Queen Dr. Nadu.
Thank you very much, Dr. Derek. I want to shout out for my girl. The topic, oh my goodness. That was something that I love because it's something that we need at this moment. Yeah. If I have a question, is that you say that a lot of companies migrate. Now, if you are in business and you migrate, are you going to put your company in suspension like we have now, or it's just the beginning? That's why everything had to be cut out. That's my question. Thank you.
Well, okay. But before I perform the migration, I will let you guys know. My company knows what is going on. That we are going to be performing data migration, and to let them know how long it takes. We, just like Dr. Derek said, he was going to prepare how long it takes. But as for me, I just wanted to give the process. The reason why I'm giving the process is because I did my research. I wanted to let my brothers and sisters to know what is going on, the process, because a lot of people don't know anything about IT. Their main aim is they want just the dollars. But I will let them know that this is what is going to be happening. I will tell my people what will be happening. But I will say, I'm not going to tell you guys how long it will take. You understand, Dr. Naidu? I will just tell them that I will be performing a data migration. And it takes time. That is why I gave you guys the 8 steps. Some companies there are some writers that will say, oh, maybe it takes 9 steps. Some will say it takes 8 steps, then or 10 or 20. Now it all depends. Some people will say it takes 5. And then if I say it takes 5, they'll say, oh, only 5, then how come you guys have not migrated? No, the data is a lot. Like I stated, it has to be up. You have incremental and you have accumulative backup. Like I stated before, that you have to perform an audit. So let me say, if it's my company, I'll say, hey, we have to perform an audit and it takes some time. I will say, hey, if you want to know, I'm not going to tell you how long it's going to take, but you can still go to and Google. I know, Dr. Nadu, you will say, okay, how about Papa, who is 90 years old? What am I going to tell him? Well, I'm just going to say, Daddy, I know that you are anxious to start receiving some dollars. But look, I'm moving from AWS, which is Amazon Web Services, to the data center. It is new. So it's going to take me some time, Papa, to transfer or migrate this data. Like I have given my own eight steps. Papa, it has to be tested, Papa. If you don't test it, then if I migrate now, something happens now, you'll be mad at me. You'll say, you don't know what you're doing. So I will explain to Papa. Dr. Nadu, I believe I answer your question.
Let me also kind of zoom in a little bit more on the question.
Please.
Every company, if they are going to migrate to another server, they're going to have to shut it down. And most company does that. However, they might not shut down everything. They might do things by region. And Ashmufari could have done that also. He could have migrated by region. So he shut down this region, migrated this region. Shut down another region, migrated this region. Bring up back this region, shut down another region. He could have done that. He could have. Because when you're migrating, in other words, you bought a brand spanking new laptop. Nice, state of the art, all the bells and whistles. Can you have a webinar at the same time that you are moving your all the information and the webinar platform that you use, whether it's Zoom or is OConnect or is Restream or whichever webinar platform you use? Do you think that you can migrate that webinar platform and keep a webinar? No.
I witnessed that with one of my sister. She got a new computer. And she spent more than a month to back up everything and start with. So
Beautiful.
interesting.
Well, that is it. So any company that is migrating will have to shut down. That's the question you ask, really. They have to shut down because you cannot run programs because you have to be migrating the program. You have to be migrating the program also, you know. So it's not just a case of just raw with the military. It was mostly raw data, right? There was no program that people were using on the servers, right? It was just raw data. So that is a different scenario also. But with ONPASSIVE, you have programs that has to be migrated also. So the program have to shut down. It have to, right? If Zoom is going to migrate now, they're going to have to shut it down to migrate it over to another web server. They have to shut it down. There's no question about that. All right. So fortunately for us, we're not in the big scheme of things as yet, right? No, ONPASSIVE is not in the big scheme of things as yet. And so therefore, the best thing to do is just shut down everything, move everything, bring up back everything, and get it running for everybody one time, right? So when we see it again, brand spanking new, brand spanking new operating system, brand spanking new everything, good to go. All right. So it has to shut down. It have to shut down. Have to. And every company would have to shut down in order to migrate because you're moving from one computer. Just always look at it as one computer to another computer. That's it, basically. But we call them servers, sounding a little more sexier. We call them servers and all of that. But it's just basically a big computer and you're moving to another big computer, basically. That serve more than one person, right? And that's why I talk about a network.
3 million.
When you have a network at your home, right? So for argument's sake, you have your husband, yourself, your daughter, your son, and everybody is using one printer. That is known as a network. So everybody in the house is connected to the network that is connected to the printer. So I can print from my laptop or my desktop. You can print on the same printer from your laptop or desktop. Your husband can do that. Your daughter can do. Basically, that is it. So everybody is coming into that one network to the printer. Same thing. All of us is coming to one network in ONPASSIVE to use the different product. So has to shut down because that is moving from one computer to another computer. All right?
That's a lot.
Wonderful. Lot. Oh, I like that. That's a lot. Wonderful. All right. I think I see King Kumaran hand up for the longest while. Go ahead, King Kumaran. Namaste. Mhm. Yes, we are hearing you. Sounding good.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Kumaran.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Drive safely. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much, King Kumaran. Really appreciate it. Yes. Oh mercy, I didn't even remember that pandemic. So to that tech technology pandemic. When we were moving from 1999 to 2000. Oh my goodness, that was a big headache for everybody that was in technology. All right. Um, but anyway, go ahead, King Mamadou.
Yeah. So Derek, Queen Dr. Benny, Queen Dr. Pat, Queen Dr. T, and all my beloved family. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you all. You know, as you know, Momodu Jalo, the hardworking man, right? I'm in the middle of working, but I pay attention to Queen Dr. T and Queen Dr. Benny. Yes, I just want to acknowledge and appreciate them because what they share with us tonight is very educative, informative, and inspirational. So I just want to say thank you and to also appeal to my unperseverance. You know, this is an opportunity that was just shared with us by our CEO for his kind heart. If you take that, you just have to follow and listening to him. Whatever he tells you, that's what you need to go by. But if you start to move ahead of him, you will your blood pressure will be so high, and before you know, you you will miss what is in your hand. So just like what Dr. T said, this is the time for us to prepare ourselves to enjoy the blessing that has been shared with us. So thank you, Dr. Benny, for giving all the steps. As for me, I know we are on migration. No matter how long it takes, I'm only listening to our CEO. Whatever he tells me, that's what I'm going by. And I'm always happy because I know men and women are working on my behalf 247. So I just want everybody who want to enjoy this blessing to take that as an advice and just go with the flow. So thank you for continuing to advise and guide us as to what we need to do so that we'll be able to enjoy this blessing that has been shared with us. God bless you all. I don't know if you can hear me, but this is what I have to say. God bless you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yes, we are hearing you perfectly, King Mamadou, and we thank you, dear sir, for all the lovely words. Yeah, just listen, just be patient. It will happen. You worrying about it not going to make it happen any faster. So it don't make sense, and people need to understand that this is your it's like you're starting on passive at the level that Microsoft is today. So you're not starting and trying little by little to come up the ladder. No, you are starting as the giant from day one. So let us be patient. Let us be patient. I thank you very much, King Mamadou. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Don't see any more hands up. And look left, look right, look up, look down. Thank you very much, First Lady Queen Dr. Benny. Really, really, really appreciate it. King Kumaran, keep your eyes on the road. King Kumarang, please to keep your eye on the road. Don't want to hear say you meet an accident and because you look on what Zoom. So please keep your eye on the road. I beg thee. Wonderful. All right. So at this time, no hands are up. So at this time, we're going to ask Queen Dr. Tunishai Ford for her final comments.
You're muted, Queen Dr. T. You're muted.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Derek, and thank you again for this opportunity. And all of my listening audience, again, we're going to all go through situations that are going to be uncomfortable, but we can make it through it. And I believe by displaying the 8 strengths that I shared with you tonight, you will learn to be proactive instead of reactive when hard times come. This is the time to put on the whole armor. Be steadfast, stay faithful, and stay on your mission. And when you have a mission and you have a purpose, you will know that you will defeat every enemy that is thrown at you because you are overcomers. So begin to practice and instill in your life being proactive instead of reacting to every little thing that comes across your path. You want to be like a rock inside that stream. In other words, when the stream is going down, you want to be a rock that's steadfast. You don't want to be a pebble in the stream. You want to be a rock in the stream, unmovable. All of us have the capability of being unmovable and unstoppable. So learn to be proactive instead of reactive when difficult situations arise. Thank you so much for allowing me to share.
Well, I would say fantastic, right? Awesome, awesome. I believe Dr. Derek is going to ask me to say mine. So
Wonder,
Oh, sure.
wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much, Queen Dr. T, for that wonderful, wonderful summary presentation. All right. And so at this time, our First Lady, Queen Dr. Benny, will give us the closing on her presentation.
Thank you, King Dr. Derek, for this opportunity. Just to let each and everyone know, I know Dr. T talks about her own 8 steps. So I also have my own 8 steps. Can you believe it? Yeah. Maybe we have more steps when it comes to data migration. I just want to let you guys know the reason why I brought data migration is because I know people may just sit and say, what's going on? As Queen Dr. Nado said, if it was my company, will I tell? Yeah, I'm just going to tell my people, my employees, that something is going to be happening when it comes to data migration. Yes, it has to be shut down, but I have to let you guys know that this is going to be happening. But I'm not going to tell you how long it's going to take. I just want to let you guys know this is what is going to happen. Now, so when it comes to the data migration, as you all know, it's very, very complex. It's challenging. As you all know, that everything has to be backed up. There's always a contingency plan, right? With contingency plan, you plan for unforeseen circumstances. You have to back up all your data. So we perform the audit and the rest. So data migration is a complex process that requires what? A careful planning for execution and validation. So when I talk about the validation as a proof, to ensure a successful transition from one system to another. Now, it is essential to involve our stakeholders. The stakeholders, you all know our CEO, our COO, our database administrators, and the rest. They will system administrators. They will sit and they will talk about it, how long it's going to take, the resources. The reason why they are adding the stakeholders is for them to know what is going on and the resources that are needed. We need that money. We need more the resources, more people, more money to, more databases or more servers. How much is it going to cost? That is why we have to include the shareholders to allocate the sufficient or what? Sufficient resources and to follow the best practice to minimize the disruption and mitigate the risk. There's always a risk when you step out of the building. Whatever thing you are doing, just know that there's always a risk that will involve. I want you guys to get ready and prepare yourself during migration or anything. So regular. So after the migration, there has to be monitoring to us in our when it comes to cybersecurity, we have continuous monitoring. You are monitoring. You monitor and then you perform the validation, being crucial, which is going to maintain the database what? The integrity. When I talk about integrity, is what? Honesty. And to ensure a seamless operation in a new environment. Thank you all for listening.
All right. Okay. Wonderful. 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 Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, First Lady Queen Dr. Benny. All right. Really appreciate. All right. Thank you very much for your summation. Really appreciate. And thank you, Queen Dr. T, for your summation. Really appreciate. All right. And so, um, thank you very much, everyone that is watching and listening. Listen, especially for persons that are in ONPASSIVE, whether you are a founder or you are not a founder, but you are in ONPASSIVE. Please share this webinar on the that is on the YouTube channel. Dr. Patience, her her channel is Dream with Dr. P. So please share it with all your persons that you have. Um, okay, just kind of trying to look through the chat if there's any questions. All right, wonderful. I'm not really a chat person, so just bear with me a little. Uh-huh. All right. Okay, beautiful. All right, so those people saying hi and hello and all of that, over with the two platforms, it's like four, five, six, over 600 people on the two platforms, YouTube channel. So a lot of people are hearing, a lot of people are listening, a lot of people are watching, right? And we just want to thank on the social media platform. If you are watching live now, or if you're going to be watching later on in life, please recognize that mindset, very important. And that's the only thing you and I can work on. our own individual mindset. Thank you very much, Dr. T. And of course, migration of the ecosystem and entire ONPASSIVE. That is not putting something on a like a flash drive and go away with it in your pocket. So thank you very much, First Lady Queen Dr. Benny. Really appreciate for those two presentation. It was I don't know if you remember. I don't know if you remember that uh, television series with. I don't know if you remember that television series named Good Times, right? Right. That was today's presentation. So today's presentation with the mindset and with the um, well, we can't call it cybersecurity again. We have to call it migrating presentation. It was really and truly. So thank you both ladies. Really appreciate it. And looking forward for more and more and more presentations. All right. So everyone have a blessed, wonderful evening. And we are going to spend a little time now with Queen Dr. Nadu, the DG at the control for our after party. So let me shut down so that we can now make the YouTube and any social media platform out there. We're just going to close because some of the music might be also proprietary, so we're not able to be streaming the after party on the YouTube channel. So see you again on Thursday, 8 on Deep Dive, and Wednesday, Julie Pier at 8 or 7:30, and empowering all of us. And then, of course, Sunday, Dream Team. So come on out and be a part of this wonderful family. Thank you all very much. Really appreciate it.